Jacob, such a pleasure to speak with you. And I was curious, since you're coming back for season two here, how was that actual experience of, returning because you already
Yeah,
have the chemistry with the cast?
yeah,
I assume it's a bit like Spider-Man, but how is it
yeah,
rather than like, starting
yeah.
a fresh project?
I mean, first of all, your background is so dope. I feel like I haven't even seen that poster. That is literally so awesome. But
Awesome.
yeah, it feels great. I think we were all very excited to come back, and we definitely loved working with each other last season. So it was great, and like the chemistry is still there. And I feel like because we have that to build off of, it just became like work just kind of became like playground all the time, like adult playground.
That's really cool. And what's cool about this season is the first season was very much Reginald getting used to being a vampire and then
Yeah,
doing the big test at the end. But here we get to kind of dive into the world more. There's this big war
yeah,
building up against the angels. What was most
yeah.
exciting about kind of diving into the mythology behind the series?
I think the mythology is what makes the show so much more interesting this time around. And it was fun to really do the whole sort of biblical, sort of like terrors coming, and I think that's going to be such a fun sort of story to kind of like fight through the entire season. And I think it just adds another like layer of like coolness to the show. It's like I love the angel idea so much, and like our angels in the show are so dope. So
Yeah, it's awesome. And I wanted to ask about your co-star, Mandela Van Peebles, because
yeah,
he's fantastic as Maurice.
yeah.
He actually looks like a vampire. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just something about him.
Definitely.
But what really stood out about him as a scene partner, because you guys have such great scenes together.
Yeah, I think I mean Mandela's really just great as an actor, but also because our relationship is so strong that we really do play that out really well. And I think we are just completely opposites in terms of like how we are on screen. So I think those two things make it even more intriguing as a pairing. But again, like me and him like are so close that we can kind of just play off of each other like it's nothing at this point. So I think it'd be that.
I love that. And the first season had this fun love triangle going on. Now the pairings are more established, but we do see Reginald and Sarah, working through some issues early on in the season.
Yeah,
What was most interesting about kind of exploring their connection once they're out of that honeymoon phase of, just being
yeah.
in pure bliss?
I think it's a great way to sort of illustrate that love isn't always going to be perfect, and also just the idea that just because you're the hero, not everything else will be falling into place. You sort of have to sacrifice a few things in order to be the hero. But again, the relationship is so strong that throughout the show, it'll just become such a crazy, insane thing that blows up that like I feel like everyone will be like completely floored by it.
Can't wait to see it. And I've always been curious because this is a very bloody show. You're a vampire, you're
Yeah,
feeding, you get
yeah,
messy, you're covered in blood. What is that like when you just have all this? What does it taste like? What's going on
yeah.
there?
Well, so we do two main ones really. Well, three. The one is like sort of like a sweet sort of rose sugary water, and then the other one that's like more thick and viscous is like the corn syrupy type, and that is probably the one that completely like I could throw up just thinking about it. And then there's this other one that this liquid that they make to make it look like blood, but you don't drink that one. So it's sort of like pick your poison. But it's definitely something to get used to, and I think we've did a little better in managing blood in the second season, but it's still pretty messy this time around.
And one aspect I like about season two is we get to see more of Claire in the show. And last season, is very focused on Reginald finding his powers. And then
Yeah,
now with Claire, he kind of has a mentor role of, exploring her. So how was it kind
yeah,
of spending more time with that character? Because the young actress
yeah.
is great too.
Yeah, Tylee's really great. Just like the rest of our cast, she's very talented, and I think she's special because she's like younger and like way more professional than I was when I was her age. So that was really great of her, and also like yeah, her character definitely deserves that sort of growth and storytelling, and it's going to be a really fun relationship because it's just going to be like an elevated brother sister thing. Um, but it'll be crazy because people like characters like Claire and everyone are gonna have crazy parts to play in the whole story altogether. So
And I had to ask, first season, your windpipe stole the show with Total Eclipse of the Heart. We hear you sing some Meatloaf. I'd do anything for love here. How do you wind up singing each season?
I think the first one was definitely my fault. I suggested we do the song "Total Eclipse of the Heart," so that was definitely on me. But this time, I feel like I elected to not want to do anything like that. Everyone on the show wanted to do like a musical episode, and I completely was like, no. And I'm still the only one that somehow ends up doing this. So
That's funny. In both seasons, you've brought up Keanu Reeves. Are we trying to like manifest a movie together? Are you a big fan?
yeah, I mean, I think he just really. I think Reginald is just like a diehard Keanu Reeves fan. Um, but that'd be nice if Keanu like would love to. I would love that.
This is a really exciting time in your career. You have the Tarot movie coming out, and then Reginald season two premiering. This is one after the other. How special is it that these stars really aligned, and you have
Yeah.
these two projects both coming into the world at the same time?
It's honestly like I feel very lucky. I feel very fortunate for sure. Obviously, the strike had a lot to do with the way things sort of played out, but I'm like really happy and excited for everyone to see all these things that we've been working on. Especially because I felt like at the time it was supposed to be sooner, obviously, but I think it's all worth it in the end. And I just hope that everyone has a good time watching them.
And one big advantage of television is that you get to spend more time with these characters, and you've gotten to film 20 episodes as Reginald. What do you like
Mhm.
most about getting to just thoroughly explore it rather than, a movie where you
Yeah,
may only have 20, 30
yeah.
minutes screen time?
I think as an actor, I feel really it's like sort of freeing to just sort of like creatively try different things and to really explore. I think it's beneficial to like storytelling, but also it's definitely taxing, especially the way that we write the show. We do a lot of words per minute, and I think that also is a separate challenge in and of itself. I really enjoy movies because you really can just like slip into one thing and then leave it alone and then do something completely different afterwards. So I guess those are sort of the two main differences. Yeah.
And then my last question for you, obviously Spider-Man's been so huge for your career. How has it been just, there's constant speculation. How is it just having such a committed and passionate fan base that is always talking, always chattering about your character?
I think it's without the fans, I would not be in this position. So I'm very grateful for that, for sure. I just feel bad that I don't have enough answers for fans who ask me stuff. Like I actually genuinely feel bad about that. But again, like without the fans, I would not be like having a great life. So obviously very thankful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jacob, thank you so much for your time today and congrats on Reginald season two.
Thank
And
you so
it's such
much.
a fun show.